Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Dr. Tori Jaeger. Dr. Tori has an amazing story and she's doing some incredible work, so I'm excited to have her on to share her story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, please jump onto iTunes, hit those 5 stars, and write down what you love about the show. Writing reviews really helps more people find the show and really means the world if you take time to do that. So thank you guys so much. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drcaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, be sure to check out the Shop tab where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Dr. Tori Jaeger. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Dr. Tori Jaeger, and Dr. Tori is a plant-based physician who is using her platform to inspire healthier living. And she does an amazing job at showing her audience how she is incorporating a healthy lifestyle as a mom while also having a crazy schedule as a doctor. But I'm excited for Dr. Tori to share her story and all of the amazing work she is doing. So, Dr. Tori, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, hi, Casey. I'm super excited to talk on here and share a little bit about my story and hopefully inspire other people to get on board and do the same thing.
I love it. So, before we get going, let's start with your backstory. First off, where you are from. And I want to also hear about your own personal wellness journey so we can fully understand how your health and wellness has evolved over time and really just led to all of the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I grew up in mostly rural Idaho and just standard American family, middle class, nothing special. Had a great stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked for Ore-Ida doing potatoes and French fries, big French fries in our family. And then from there, basically just went to college in Western Pennsylvania. And back from there, I graduated, came back to Boise, where I met my husband and we got married. During that time back after college, I applied to medical school. And the first time that I applied, I actually did not get accepted, which was pretty crushing and heartbreaking for someone who had, tried to shoot for that goal and try to get into med school. I know there's a lot of people who have been through the same thing, and some people don't get accepted ever. Fortunately, I reapplied with the same application. I had been working at a hospital lab, just doing clerical work and office stuff for a couple years, and reapplied and got in the second time. So super, super grateful for that. During that time, I married my husband, and we went off to medical school in Washington State. I went to Pacific Northwest University. It was an osteopathic school, which I went to because I liked the philosophy. I was always drawn to it, that we need to treat the whole person and not just look at a specific disease or a specific organ, but that even our emotional well-being and overall well-being really played into our entire health. So from there, I knew that I wanted to do gastroenterology since I was a kid, due to some family issues with a hereditary colon cancer syndrome. And so I pursued internal medicine, which was the first step after medical school to get there. So I moved down to Texas, where I did my 3-year internal medicine residency. And obviously my husband came with me. We left all of our family and friends about 1,300 miles from us back in Idaho. And that was difficult, but what made the journey even more difficult was during my 4th year of medical school, right after I had stepped off the plane from my last residency interview, I found out that I was pregnant. And so this was my first child, and we were super excited because we had been trying for quite a while. I just didn't expect it to happen at that point. So when I moved down to Texas, I was about 7.5 months pregnant. And like I said, it was just me and my husband, leaving all our friends and family. So that was kind of a big turning point in my life when I looked towards my wellness, because I knew that I was going to be bringing this child into a very stressful world, and it was going to be up to my husband and I to set an example for her and to raise her with healthy habits, to have a good outlook on life, and to really know her value as a young girl. And growing up with a stay-at-home dad and a mom as a doctor, I wanted her to really know that she could really do anything she wanted to do. But at the same time, I knew it was going to be important for me to lay a firm foundation for her to have healthy lifestyle habits, including diet. And when I first started, I really had no idea what that meant. I knew that eating processed junk was probably not good. And so after she was born, it was a struggle having a baby my intern year. But during that journey, I was able to join Tone It Up. I found this through a friend at work. And if people aren't familiar with this, it's Katrina and Karina. They do fitness. They have a fitness app and workouts that you do, and they have a nutrition program too. And so that's kind of what I got into after, when I was postpartum. And I started to kind of change my diet then, and I saw a lot of good physical results with that. And so that was good. And that got me into a really good routine of exercising. Growing up, I'd always been an athlete and played sports and stuff, but I was really bad at just keeping up on exercise for the sake of health since leaving high school, which had been, 10 years since that point at least. So that was a good start for me, was really getting that routine of exercise in there. But then as things went on through residency, I was thankful and fortunate enough to have some physician mentors in my residency program, including my program director and our associate program director, who are very big into lifestyle medicine and introduced me to all the research and evidence behind a whole food plant-based diet. And that was a huge turning point for me and my family.
Were you receptive to that right away?
Yeah. So because I had been doing the Tone It Up stuff, I had seen good health changes, and their philosophy is lean, clean, and green. So I had already cut out red meat. I had already cut out processed foods, but I was still doing the dairy stuff minimally. I still, cheese, eggs, chicken, that kind of stuff. So then I was like, well, I'm already doing this. And they're saying, my mentors were saying, if you cut those things out, it'll be that much better. And here's all the evidence behind this. This is not just some trendy thing. This is, what tons of great organizations have, recommended. And so because of that, as a doctor and, growing up with, in the education and seeing how we come up with guidelines and how we do research and stuff, seeing all that stuff just kind of hit me. And I was like, I feel like I've been lied to. I feel like we don't get exposed to this stuff enough. And why, if this is changing so many people's lives and can prevent so many awful diseases that I'm treating, why are more people not doing this? So because of that, I went 100%. I set a date. It happened to be January 1st. And it's been, almost a year and a half now. And I said no more to the meats, the dairy, the eggs, all of that, the processed foods, for my whole family. So my husband was on board and my daughter too. And
that's awesome.
We've never looked back. We feel awesome now. So I now, I'm currently a chief resident here at this program before I start my fellowship next year at the same hospital. So I have some influence over the rest of the residency and promoting that. And we're actually one of the first sites in the country to have the lifestyle medicine residency curriculum incorporated into our program.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, it's really amazing to think about how many people that you guys are going to be able to affect now, because like you were saying, we've essentially been lied to or just not given the information, right? When it can help so many people. And whenever you're in a position, just being a physician and they're looking to you for answers or some type of guidance, like you have that to give, and you have a personal testimonial on how you did it and how you felt and how your whole family has been affected. So what do you think is the biggest effects that you noticed personally and then also your family as well, like physically, mentally? How do you feel like you yourself and your family have really had those benefits?
The big thing that I think we have noticed overall is our energy level. I know some people may not tell a difference, but it's a huge thing for us. Over the last year, my husband in particular has really got into distance running and has become just a kind of a crazy athlete, which he never was before. He didn't do sports. He did wrestling in high school, but he was never a runner. He never played team sports or anything like that. So for him to do this kind of stuff is really unusual in ways, but now he's just super motivated and he loves it. He's into all the ultra marathon runners and is trying to get into that scene now.
That's awesome. He's a big Rich Roll fan then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so energy is one. The other thing is we were just talking about this last night after eating our dinner. There used to be this like, I don't know, lag or this feeling of just like heaviness and, reflux, heartburn, that kind of stuff. Anytime we'd eat food and you'd be like, I need to go rest, I'm going to go sit down, or let's go walk off that food, I don't feel good, that kind of sense. And maybe other people don't get that, but we used to feel like that a lot. Or we'd lay down and go take a nap. Now we don't feel like that at all. So that's great. And then my daughter, she's a toddler, and constipation has always been an issue, with little kids. And it was with her too, to some extent. It was never super bad, but she's like the most regular 3-year-old you've ever met. It's like clockwork every single day, like same time, no issues. It takes about 30 seconds and she's done and we're good for the day. So that's huge for her. And then, the heartburn thing for my husband, he used to complain about chest pain, like no matter what he ate, like it was just constant heartburn. And now he never has it, like ever. So that's a huge thing too. None of us really had huge like medical issues like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anything like that, thankfully. So we don't have anything huge like that. I'd say both of us just stepping up our physical activity and exercise. I was never a runner, and now I really enjoy running. I'll go out and run, 5 miles with my husband, and while he pushes the jogging stroller, and that's like unheard of. I never used to do that kind of stuff. So it's just, I don't know, little things, but they make us feel better just overall, and we're just super happy.
That's awesome. Was there any obstacles that you guys faced individually or as a family, just adapting to that type of eating?
I wouldn't say so much for my husband and I, just because I had played podcasts for him, like nutrition rounds. So thank you guys for that. That kind of persuaded him, and, like things like Rich Roll and listening to those guys and just sharing the evidence with him. He's a super big animal lover too. So it was really easy to actually convince him to just cut that stuff out. And he doesn't, surprisingly, he never wanted to eat the meat. He never wants to eat the meat anymore either. And I don't either. Like we just feel so much better eating like this that we don't want to go back. Like there's no way. Like I told him, I said, 20 years from now, I'm going to be sitting down here and we'll be talking and I'm going to say, I haven't had a piece of meat to eat in over 20 years. I'm going to be one of those people because it's just that great to me. And I think for my daughter, when we transitioned her, she was 2, maybe a little bit less than 2. And that was a little bit of a struggle for her getting her off of cow's milk, just because, since she was, 1, the pediatricians pushed, drink the cow's milk. And so she had been accustomed to that, but now she's completely switched to soy milk and she does just fine with it. She never really liked cheese, thankfully. So that's never been an issue. And she voluntarily now, even at preschool or wherever, she'll say, oh no, I don't have cheese. I don't have meat. I don't want it. And so she passes it up herself. So I'm super proud of her for that. But
that's amazing. That's how my daughter is too. And it's really cool to see that process and how quickly they pick up on it, and just watching them on every level, honestly. And I know you could say the same thing, like the energy, the immune system, just all of it, the vibrancy, like you see it, especially when you start, especially, with you, I'm sure, you're seeing a lot of people that are, sick all of the time. And so many kids are just sick all the time. And all of these like ear infections and strep throats and antibiotics, and it's constant. And like I've talked to so many people, with kids, and, obviously I've experienced it firsthand myself as well. You just really don't see it really very much at all when
Yeah.
kids go that route. And yeah, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's super awesome. And, people have approached me and they're like, the pediatrician recommends cow's milk. Like, how can you not give that to your daughter? Like, are you concerned about what you're doing to her health? And, my response is no, I'm preventing, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, obesity, everything for her, reducing her risk of cancer growing up. So I'm 100% like confident and thankful that we have this knowledge now to raise her like this.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And I mean, with all of the work that you're doing, I know you're trying to create all of these resources for patients, for, people that follow you on social media, and you just put out your ebook. So do you want to talk about what they can find in there and why you made it and how it can really help somebody that's trying to implement a whole food plant-based lifestyle?
Yeah, so one of the struggles that we found when we first started this was, people can tell you, oh, here's where all the recipes are, or, just substitute such and such in your dish for meat. But when you actually walk into the grocery store, you're kind of lost and you're like, what do I eat? Like, how do I start? Like, do I just go 100%, or basically what's the basic steps do you need to take to do this? And I get asked that a lot. It's a big thing. People say, I want to transition, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so I really wanted to create this ebook as a basic, simple guide to show people these are, standard American recipes. These are super simple. They're very inexpensive because I was living off of a resident salary, and I still pretty much am. And my husband doesn't work. So it's not like I have a doctor's salary yet, making all these like super awesome, like vegetable fancy recipes. It's basic stuff, and it's common flavors that people like bean burgers, spaghetti, just simple things like that. But it goes through different meals. So you got breakfast in there, lunch, dinner, and then snacks. Just very simple things, inexpensive. And in my introduction, there's a food pyramid in there to show you how much of each thing on a plant-based diet is recommended. And basically just showing people how we do it. There's a meal guide or a calendar in there so that you can write in what meals you're going to have that week, and then a grocery list so you write them down. So that way you're not over purchasing things, because that's another thing that I hear people do. I went and bought all these vegetables, but then they all just went bad.
Right.
So, this way you're not over purchasing things, and there's ways to utilize everything. It's basically just how my family eats and how we found success doing this, and not making it more difficult than it needs to be.
No, I love that. And I'm so glad that you were able to finish that and get that posted, and excited to help promote that as much as I can too. And then I'll also, for you guys listening, I'll put the link in the show notes. That way you guys can go check that out and purchase that, because it'll be a really helpful resource, especially, like Dr. Tori was saying, if you're a busy family and you're just trying to figure out how to do this, and like, what are my kids going to like? What am I going to like from my spouse? It's just super helpful. So definitely go check it out. And whenever you do purchase it, take a picture and share it in your Instagram stories and tag us both in, so we can give you guys shout outs as well, because it has, like she was saying, some really awesome recipes and resources in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Casey. And I just want to make a mention on this. I want everybody to have access to this information. And I feel like eventually I'll just be giving it out for free. But right now it's $15, and you get an online download of it instantly. So when you download it on a computer, it pops up and you have it. But the money that we are getting from this is going directly towards our adoption. We're in the middle of adopting our second child from Colombia right now, and adoption's super expensive. And like I just said, I'm living on a resident salary, so that's a little bit challenging for us. So we really appreciate anybody who feels like they want to contribute by buying this book.
I love that. I'm so excited for you guys. I know we've been chatting for the last few months, and I just think it's awesome just it's interesting learning about the whole adoption process, because I know it is expensive and it's stressful, but obviously it'll be worth it when all is said and done. So do you want to talk about the adoption process? Because that's actually, I've never really had that conversation on this podcast before, and it's super interesting and obviously a really amazing thing. So do you want to talk about how that process has been for you and what it's looked like?
Yeah, absolutely, because I want more people to realize what it is and what it's not. So we've always wanted to adopt. And when we first started, we were looking at all the different avenues you can go down, domestic, international, open, closed, that kind of stuff. And what we decided on was international adoption for various reasons, just because we felt like it fit with our family better. And so then we started looking for an agency. There's a lot of agencies out there. And the agency we found is All God's Children International. And basically we got connected with them. We met face to face, pretty quickly as soon as we got in contact with them. And we talked about, our income, our living situation, what we're looking for, whether we wanted to specify age, gender, and where the child would come from. And basically they gave us some resources to look over the different requirements for each country, because each country will require different income levels and different ages, and you have to be married or you can be single, how many children are in the house already, that kind of stuff. And so basically we settled on Colombia because it fit with our family best, and kind of the requirements were things that we met. So after that, you fill out a lot of paperwork and application, and they set you up with, you get a social worker that's assigned to you, and then an adoption specialist will also help you through everything. We did have somebody local here in Texas that was there to help us, but a lot of our stuff was done from Vancouver, actually. And they walk you through everything. The first process is background checks and putting together a home study, which basically looks at every aspect of your life. It's like a 90-some page document that you fill out, and you have everyone in your life write letters for you and recommendations. You get fingerprinted, and then you have social worker visits where your social worker comes to your house, looks at things, just kind of gets to know you and who you are. And then from there, you send it off to the agency, and it can take a while. Ours, unfortunately, it took a little bit of time, but they'll compile this document. And then once you get that, you can send that off, and ours has to be translated. So that's a whole nother process. And then from there, you start working on what's called your dossier, which is basically a big packet, including your home study, and then a bunch of other things, other documents that will be sent to the Colombian government. And once they get that document, that's when they'll start looking through it, and they'll find a match for us, and we'll be matched with a child. Once we get matched with our child, we'll have a couple weeks to have an international pediatrician look over the file to make sure that there's nothing that seems to be hidden health-wise that we don't feel like we are capable of handling. So we can say yes or no on that. And then once we say, yes, this is our child, we start making preparations to go down and actually fly in country and go through the adoption process with the courts in Colombia. So right now we are finalizing our dossier. We did our last of 3 fingerprinting appointments at the immigration building, and we're waiting for that. And once we get that, we are sending our stuff to Colombia. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but just as you were speaking, do you feel like it's been a little bit more difficult of a process due to political issues going on right now?
No, not really. Actually, none of that stuff has really come up at all.
That's awesome.
The one thing that I'm concerned about right now is maybe travel restrictions being put on people because of the coronavirus that's going around right now. I know that there's some other people who are in the adoption process and have been delayed for travel to go pick up their child because of it. So just hoping that whenever we get to that point, that this isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah, hopefully it's not. It's better safe than sorry, right?
Right.
Man, but that's so amazing, though. I'm so excited for you guys, and it's just I just hope that the rest is as smooth sailing as it possibly can be. Do you have like an estimated timeline, or is it just completely up in the air?
It's pretty much up in the air. I think they say anywhere from like 9 months to 2 years is the average time. So April will be the 1 year mark for us since we've started this process.
Awesome. No, I love it, Dr. Tori. And yeah, guys, go purchase the book, help support what her and her family are doing because it's really an amazing thing. And I'm excited just to continue to hear about that process, Dr. Tori. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me talk about that because obviously we're super passionate about it.
Yeah,
So
and obviously you guys, if you're listening and maybe adoption has been on your heart, like I'm sure Dr. Tori, you wouldn't mind if they reached out with any adoption questions because it
oh
is
yeah.
very, very, very important. And I know this is, we've been talking a lot about wellness and nutrition, but it really all is interconnected because if you are going to have a family, you need to learn how to properly, take care of their health and well-being. So it does go together. So I know I love it. I love it. And
Absolutely.
kind of off topic from that, but not. Just talking kind of about just mom life in general. I know you post a lot about kind of having as healthy of a balance as you can between your busy schedule, between your family. And I know, especially as, being a physician and, you're getting ready to start your fellowship, time is definitely something that there's not a lot of, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess, how do you deal with that personally? Just kind of balancing as much as you can. I know balance is kind of impossible, but the best that you can.
Yeah. This is a great question. And I get asked this a lot. And like I said, things were a struggle at the beginning because, you have this newborn, we didn't have any help. And then once we started to prioritize our meals and our nutrition, that just made us feel a lot better and gave us more energy. And then the other thing that's really helped me is prioritizing my exercise for a couple of reasons that I'll get into. Not only is it good health wise, it's a huge stress relief. And then I always am a big person on routines. And so my routine is getting up before my family gets up in the morning. No matter what time that is, I get up 2 hours before work and I work out for an hour, whether it's in my living room or I make the journey to the gym. That's my quiet time. That's my alone time. That's when I have time to actually recharge. And if I start my day that way, I find that the rest of the day goes so much better. I
Yeah.
physically feel better. I mentally feel better. Emotionally, I feel so much better. So that's a huge part. And then, like I said, the nutrition part, not only is it giving you more energy and making you just overall feel better, I personally am a big proponent of meal prepping, especially if you have a busy schedule. What I'll do is we'll typically grocery shop at some point on like a Saturday or whenever we have time. Grocery pickup's always an option during residency when things got busy or I was working the weekend. I'd do the grocery orders and my husband would do the grocery pickup. And then I'd take, it takes about 2 hours on a Sunday when my daughter's napping. And I would literally prep all my breakfast, my snacks, 2 snacks a day, a lunch, and then we'd have stuff for dinner. And my husband would make dinner every night. But that way, I know when I go to work that no matter how busy things get, no matter how crazy things get, like I always had something right on hand that was going to be helpful and nutritious right there. And I wasn't going to grab the crap. So I'm a huge proponent of that. People are always like, oh, you probably brought your own lunch today. And I'm always like, yep, I did. So I don't have to eat whatever's served if it's not good.
Right.
So that's good. I think those are two big things that are going to make you successful, especially if you have a busy schedule. And then the other thing is this idea of, I like to call it life work integration, because I don't know if you'll ever find balance. And sometimes, more of your time has to go to work, and sometimes more of your time needs to go to your family. And so just realizing that when you come home from work at night, it's time to shut off the phone, to not answer emails, to not respond to the texts if they're not urgent, and to really just spend time with the family. One big thing that I always like to tell people to do, especially if they don't exercise, is to go out in the evening and take a walk with their family. That's like one of the biggest things for us. We spend time together. We get outside. We get our vitamin D. It's good for your health. And like I said, it just lets you vent at the end of the day, to catch up with each other and to really spend quality time. And all you have to do is, push a stroller and you've got your kid out with you too. So it's setting a good example for them. And there's like endless benefits to that. Like I could go on and on about just walking. So yeah, those are the things that I think are important. And the other thing, I guess I could go on about this too. Like I said, I'm a super routine person, but sleep's huge
Yeah.
too. People complain about not getting enough sleep. There's always more to be done. If you don't get everything done in a day, guess what? It's still going to be there tomorrow. Get up and do it, but make sure that you're prioritizing your sleep, because if you don't sleep, you're not going to function to your best. And there's been studies showing that, if you don't get adequate sleep, at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, that your brain's going to function at like 3 years older than what you actually are, just from having poor sleep for any period of time. So super important to do that, especially during medical school. So students out there, don't think that you need to look at your peers and try to keep up with them and stay up all night and do what they're doing just to get through, go over your notes one more time. When I was in medical school, I went to bed no later than 10 p.m. and I would sleep a good 7 to 8 hours every single night, even if I had 14 tests the next day. That was, I think, huge to my success in school and to where I am now. So no matter what, prioritize your sleep.
No, I love that. Yeah. And I know especially, talking to so many doctors who are either going through residency or I know that is a very difficult thing. I've heard lots of stories from Dr. Danielle, and it's just, it really is crazy. The lack of sleep that happens there, which, honestly, you probably would definitely agree that it causes a lot of possible issues because, these physicians are in charge of a lot of people's lives, and that could be a very dangerous thing if they can't make proper decisions, or if they're sick themselves and they're around all of these patients in, a suppressed immune system state. So, yeah. There's so many. I'm sure that could be a whole other topic, but I think there needs to be some kind of regulation instead of let's kill all of these physicians while they're in school, and try to push them to their limit and stay up for 2 days straight.
Yeah, for sure. Going back, I don't know however long ago it was now, but there used to be no time restrictions on anything. And now there are duty hour restrictions, but it's still pretty crazy. And then as you get, at more advanced in your career, like when you're out of residency, those restrictions are gone. So you can literally just work yourself to death, basically, which is not good. I think most physicians don't do that. But yeah, I definitely get people into a bind. So like I said, prioritizing sleep, that goes for us too. My big thing is, you got to practice what you preach here. And I think more doctors need to realize that if we start leading by example, we might have better success in changing some of our patients' lives.
Absolutely. And I love all of the tips that you just gave. And on a mom level, the piece of advice you gave about waking up a few hours before your family is one of the best things you can do. I know the mindset that's being thought when it's okay, because we've all done it, right? It's like, I'm really tired. I could get up early and have this alone time and work out, or I could just get a little bit more extra sleep and feel more rested. But typically you don't feel more rested, and you would feel more rested if you got a workout in and you had time to get your mind in a better spot, whether that's devotional or meditation or whatever that looks like for you. You're going to be in a better spot for the rest of the day and be more productive and happier in a better mental state than you would if you set the snooze button for 45 more minutes or whatever it may be. So I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, totally true. You should get to the point where you're ready to jump out of bed because you know that you're going to feel so much better if you do that. Yeah. I'm maybe an extreme, but I never miss a day. I'll do active recovery days where I'm walking or do yoga or something like that. But I make sure, and I get up and I have that time. I do something every single day, even if it's just for my mental well-being. So
I really love that. I had an Instagram. It's like my Instagram was just knowing my life because there was an ad on there that was this, it's an alarm clock floor mat. And in order the alarm to go off, you have to stand on this mat for 30 seconds for the alarm to go off. I'm I actually do kind of need that because once you're up, and it's so easy to hit that snooze button. And I actually might buy it. I think the ad might have got me. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can set the timer. Too. You can set the timer for whatever time you want, but I think it's cool. And yeah, I know.
That's really great.
I'm the person that sets 20 alarms. I have a problem.
Oh my goodness.
But for real, Dr. Tori, I love everything that you're doing with your platform, from really sharing that mom life balance to just women empowerment, just being a physician. Like, you're doing an incredible job. What do you think your main goal is with your overall platform that you share?
Yeah, my main goal is really to inspire women or just people in general to realize the impact that everyday lifestyle choices has on their health and their well-being in general. Um, really knowing that everything you think, everything you do, everything you put in your mouth, every workout you don't do, every activity you say no to, everything you say yes to really has an impact on your life. So really be thoughtful about how you live every single day, because when you start being thoughtful about your yeses and your nos and really putting value on taking care of yourself, I think you can really find happiness and knowing that you went to bed at night living the best life possible. I want more people to just take a hold of their own life and take responsibility for their health. There's so many excuses out there for people to say no or to not do things, or, this happened to me, or I'm so mad about this, or I'll never be there, I can't work out, or I have so much pain, I can't do this, or I like this type of food too much, I could never do that. I want people to realize that it's really their own mind that's holding them back, and they can break through those things. They don't have to be a slave to the things that they are creating in their minds that are holding them back. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter what kind of health problems you have. Everybody can start somewhere, and every decision you make can have a huge impact on your health.
Absolutely. No, it was perfectly said. I love that. And what's for the future? I know we covered your ebook that you just came out with and the adoption process, which those are two very major things that's going on for you right now. So it's okay if there's nothing else to top that. But is there anything else going on in the future that you just want to share for people to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, those are the real big things. The adoption thing is huge. Like, I want people to see that whole process, and I can't wait to share that with people because I want more people to take advantage of adoption. There's so many kids that need parents and loving families. Other things are, in July, I'm starting my gastroenterology fellowship. So I'm hoping to be able to use that as another tool or educational platform to share specific, nutrition advice and GI advice going forward. So I'm super excited about that. Super nervous too. But it's just another testament that, hard work and everything you do can get you to where you want to be. So just super excited to share my journey overall with those things. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Life always has some curveballs, and we'll see how it goes.
That's amazing. And I'm excited for people listening that aren't already following you to go follow you so they can keep up with everything that you're doing. So what is the best way for people to follow you on social media?
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I have Twitter or anything else like that, or TikTok at this point. I'm pretty weak at that. So the main place that you can follow me is on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is doc, so doc.tor, TOR .fit, FIT. So yeah, that's where you can find my journey about mom life, physician life, health and wellness, all of the above. So just want people to be inspired.
Awesome. And I think you would do great on TikTok. So
I'm so bad at it. I've still got to figure it out.
I'm bad at it too. I think I posted like a few months ago. Like, I'm very not consistent with that one yet, but it's a fun one. So yeah, that's funny. All right. And Dr. Tori, just closing question that I ask every guest. And I think you kind of probably answered a lot of it in a second ago, but that's okay because you're going to get to pick one thing. But what if you just had one piece of advice for the audience? Maybe it's something that's been your biggest takeaway on your own wellness journey. But if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
All right. My one piece of advice for anybody is to pick one thing in their life, whether it's, giving up dairy or getting up 3 days a week to get in a 20-minute workout, whatever it is, pick one thing and set that as your goal. And then after you have conquered that, you have mastered that, you pick another one and you continue working on it.
I love that. No, that's amazing. And honestly, it's so practical. I mean, you can make a list of 80 things that you need to do, but just having that one thing makes it totally doable. And and kind of a challenge that I usually don't do with the final piece of advice. But I know I already gave you guys homework to go support Dr. Tori's adoption process and buy her book. But if you want to share that one thing that you want to start kind of chipping away at, and you share that, we'll also on Instagram, we'll also give you guys a shout out and help however we can, because I think it's awesome just to share that, because it helps you, helps you with your accountability, and inspires your friends and family that follow you on social media. So if you want to share that with us, then we will definitely reshare just to give you some extra support as well.
For sure. Awesome.
Dr. Tori, you're amazing. And thank you so much for taking time to come on. I loved having you and just excited to watch this whole process for you and support you as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Casey.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Dr. Tori. She's doing so much positive work, so be sure to give her a follow on social media to keep up with everything that she's been working on. You can find her social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Dr. Tori's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Dr. Tori, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.